So we will start with a really simple question, and it's one I just like to get the ball rolling with. Joakim, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm just sitting here working on the animation for the last video for the last single before the record comes out. So just taking a break from staring at my screen, which is nice.
To stare at this
Just
screen. Oh, fascinating. So that's what's keeping you busy right now, just working on that.
yeah, that's pretty much we're leaving tomorrow. We're going to play 3 shows in Sweden. So yeah, just trying to get some stuff done before we have to go.
Fabulous. Lotta, how about you? How are you?
I'm well as well. Yes, I also I'm excited to leave tomorrow, so I'm just trying to get the things I need for going away. But yeah, doing well.
What do you need? What do you pack? You're going away for a few days, but you're going to play shows. You're going on a short tour. What sort of things end up in your suitcase?
Uh, Toothbrush, one shirt to change as little as possible. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
just yeah. Thread and needle for some reason is very good to have. What else? A little emergency kit for yeah, in case of bloodshed. All that.
Yeah, just keeping it simple, keeping it really small,
Yeah.
because ultimately you don't have to be dragging around a big old suitcase, do you?
Yeah,
No.
no, no, no.
Well, of course, we are fast approaching the release of your brand new album. Now, I'm going to try and pronounce it, so do go easy on me if I make a mess of this. But of course, this is, I believe, Månen ska lysa din väg, which translates in English to The Moon Will Light Your Way. This is out on May 9th via Prosthetic Records, of course. We've still got a few weeks to go, so still more time to wait. But as of right now, individually, if you please, start with you, Joachim. Where's your head at with it right now? Are you still excited and enjoying the build, or are you at that stage now where you just want it out?
Yeah, I think like having played these songs live for so long, I'm super stoked to like find out what people think about them and how are people going to react to them recorded because I say the reception has been good playing them live, but you never know. The record is such a different thing and it's a first record for prosthetic, so of course you're hoping it will do well. So it's like that anxious excitement. But yeah, of course. Yeah.
How about you, Lotta? Are you still enjoying the ride, or are we at that stage where you just want to see it out?
I want to see it out. Yeah, I'm very excited. I'm very excited. It's I haven't heard it now in a while. In when you're mixing and all that
Hmm.
shit, you listen to it all the time, and then it's quiet for a while, and then
Hmm.
as we got the test pressed last week, we listened to it again, and I listened to it with a stranger's ears, and it was suddenly like, what is this? So I'm excited to see how it's going to be received. It's always very exciting, those kind of things. You never know how it's going to go.
Indeed. We have a little, I guess, a little taster of perhaps how it may be received just based off the one single that's out there. Of course, this is Alla Solver, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and has had a good response. So, looking at that specific track and the response, first, Joachim, are you pleased with the positive words that have been said about this song so far? And why was this chosen as the first single?
I think it was chosen because it's a little bit of a link between the older material and what's coming up on the new record. So I think the next couple of singles that are coming up are maybe more representative of where we're going. But this is a song we've been playing live since I think maybe our like second show. So it's on our first demo. So it's even earlier than like the first record we put out. So it's kind of that, and it was yeah, but it's seen a lot of changes and stuff like that, and it was kind of natural for us for it to be like the yeah calling card.
You felt best represented the bridge effectively. There's what where you were, this is where you are now, and this sits in the middle, bridging the two.
Yeah, exactly. That's very much how it feels.
Lotta, considering how long you've lived with this track, what Joachim is saying there, sum up your feelings about the response to it, because it has been predominantly positive. People have quite enjoyed this track.
Yeah, It's always strange when you have a thing that you have had for in your life for a long time, and then suddenly people listen to it and have opinions on it.
Mm.
It's like, oh, it's been there already. I don't know. Like I have already the news barrier is already long gone for me. So yeah, I I have nothing to add actually. Just what he said. It's been there for long, and now it somehow lives on in a new format.
It's fascinating, isn't it? Because obviously, from a listener perspective, hell, even now, someone could jump on Spotify and hear this song, and it'd be the first thing they've ever heard from you. So they can get super excited by that and feel like they're meeting you like for the very first time. Yet for you, of course, it's existed for such a long time, and you've moved on musically. You've developed and grown as artists. So it's a weird disconnect. I suppose that's a question then, really, Lotta. Do you feel then disconnected from someone who was to say message you or speak to you at a show and say, "Oh my God, I've heard this song and I absolutely love it." Yet you know it so well, and it's such a part of your history. Do you feel like disconnected from that?
Not at all, actually, because I'm singing Världen är i brand, the world is on fire. And we were riding the first class to hell, and nothing has changed since
Yeah.
that. So it's just like I feel like repeating the message, and yeah, so it's still relevant, unfortunately.
Yes, isn't that
Maybe
right?
even more.
Unfortunately, the relevancy lives on, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, sadly. But we are on this long and winding road to release, so much work to be done, and so much it's been done already, and still so much to come. Hell, Joakim, you started this chat off telling us about what you're currently doing now. So, overall, the build to release, have you been enjoying it, and what have been some of your favorite things to do in this build, Joakim?
Well, I think really like my favorite thing is just talking to people about the record. I think like because we think a lot about like the themes and the politics and the aesthetics and things like this. So really to just have people actually be interested in what you have to say and have a conversation because like our friends are no longer very interested in what's going on with the band, but to have like but have people like you and other people actually want to discuss especially the themes that I think are so pertinent like in today's world. I think it's been really really satisfying, and also just having that sort of support really from Prosthetic Records and like the PR people and all that. Like it's completely new for us being like working in DIY all your life, like so actually like having a little bit of a support system has actually been quite helpful, just because they haven't tried to steer us in a direction, just helped us with what we wanted to do. So I've been really enjoying it so far.
I'm glad to hear that. I really am. How about you, Laura?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too, and uh, especially going on shows and playing these tracks that I'm looking forward to what we have coming up for us, and I really enjoy the live part. I'm someone who maybe don't enjoy the process of rehearsing and all that because I don't play anything, so I just stand in the middle of the noise and wait for them to be ready. But yeah, it's I'm enjoying it. It's a nice, exciting ride.
I'm glad you both have enjoying the ride and you're experiencing it in a fresh way thanks to the support of Prosthetic Records. But I'm going to take you back now, really, I guess, to the earliest stage of this record's creation, its inception, whatever you want to call it, vision. I want to look at the vision. Did you have a clear idea of what you wanted to do when you first started to make this record? And you could both offer it. Take this away, please.
I think we started when we got the new drummer, Yara,
Hmm.
uh, which was Joakim, how long ago? 2 years
That's
ago?
like 3.5 years ago.
Okay, three and half years ago. It somehow naturally started to change the style, and then somehow, I don't know, how did we end up here, Joakim?
Yeah, I think it's because we write very cooperatively. Like we're like an old school band that we spend a lot of time in the rehearsal studio. It's not somebody writing it and everybody else learning it. We spend like just a lot of time in the rehearsal room just playing together and seeing like throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. So having a new person in that dynamic meant it took a while to get going writing the material. We were like internally just like joking about it being like the difficult second record, because the first record was kind of everything we've done up to that point just condensed into one record. And it was, of course, it's never easy to make a record, but it was kind of straightforward. And this second record took a long time to find our, but I think once we wrote Härliga jorden, which is like the next single that's coming up, I think we kind of found what we were trying to do. And once we had that idea of like, okay, this is about like the earth and animals and like this sort of trying to make something that's quite bleak and dark, but also has this sort of like positive spin to it a little bit. Like there are suddenly some major chords like finding their way into the thing. And we're like, hey, maybe this is sort of the way. And then from there, it went easier at least.
So it was just finding that place to start with, so to speak, for you to understand the direction you were heading in.
Yeah. For us as a like a collective organism, as you would say, because a lot of the time it's not like you're not speaking when you're playing. You're playing together and like trying to vibe off each other and listen to what the other person is doing to maybe something you're throwing out there and stuff like that. So it can be quite, but then sometimes you have those magic moments where everything locks in and suddenly you write a whole song like from start to finish in a setting. So it's those moments are really gratifying. But of course, as Lotta says, like there's lots of times where she's just standing in the middle of a room where we're just making weird noises that don't make any sense.
In those moments, then, Lotta, in those moments, how do you keep yourself creatively fulfilled? Because, as you said, you can just be standing there twiddling your thumbs, as it were. But what's going on in your head? What are you thinking at that time?
It's sometimes I just, of course, try to think of lyrics and just like I'm very engaged, but sometimes it's just one feel over and over and over, and trying drums, trying any, like they are impossible, these two, when Yara and Joakim especially starts to argue about some certain little thing that doesn't work. And you just have to give them time and do some stretches and get time going. That's how it is. Yeah.
The reality of being a musician and a role in a particular band, it just is part and parcel of it. And I think it's always amusing to kind of hear the truth behind some of it.
Yeah.
The rock star lifestyle isn't always as glamorous as it's made out to be.
No, definitely not.
Of course, we have to, look at, say, themes and tones and what you are trying to express and say and show across this record run time. This is big and this is grand and this is large, but it still comes from your mind and your feelings. Talk to me, Joakim, please, about narrowing down the vision for what you wanted to speak about and what you wanted to say on this record.
Yeah, I think the like Lotta is clearly like the poet of the band. So she comes up with a lot of the themes, but what ends up happening, and we were lucky enough that we've been playing around, especially Eastern Europe, Finland, and Scandinavia last year. So we spend a lot of time in the like tour, like in the car basically, or in the van, talking about the themes and like is how important it was for us. For instance, this is like the theme that come up, like how important it is to not fall into like this overly dark sort of misanthropic, everything's fucked, there's no point in everything thing. We wanted to be like, okay, but we're all trying, like we're all part of like community building and we all go to the protests and we all do all these things. So you have to have this idea that there is something. And then Lotta, of course, approaching it through her like poetic lens, came up with these ideas of telling stories through the eyes of animals or stuff like this, was really inspiring for us. I think it was like this sort of thing that feeds into itself, for me at least, I think.
Well, of course, a lot. I would love you to expand upon that, particularly from a lyrical point of view, but also the moment where you got that spark, where you got that idea about looking through the eyes of the animals.
I had a dog who unfortunately passed away 2 years ago, but usually my habit was to walk the dog and think of the song, listen to the rehearsal tape, and just like listen to what needs to be said in those kinds of harmonies. And then I don't know, I enjoy to just not to try to escape this body of mine and think how would it be to be a fox and to escape from these fox places where they keep them for the furs and all that. And I think it's very healthy for us as a human animal to just like try to think out of animals' perspectives, because it's a different world that opens up if you do that. So I don't know. I'm tired of complaining. A lot of punk is always like, fuck this, fuck that. Oh, the world is on fire, which is always also, of course, big part of writing lyrics. But I don't know. I want to evolve, just like trying to think in different ways in every way I can.
Struggle though, because all you're gonna have to do is open your window and look outside, and immediately you'll find inspiration from a negative standpoint. Explain to me, like, how much trouble did you have just distancing yourself or taking yourself out of that mindset where everything is, as you said, just fucked?
Uh, I don't know. Uh, um, just like if you how difficult, what could you specify once again? Sorry.
Yeah, just the mindset. You had the mindset of negativity, the negative mindset, and
Yeah.
how everything around you, around in the world, can be very, very difficult. It's easy to get stuck in that mindset, even when you're trying not to. How did you get yourself out of the moments where you were falling into the negative mindset?
It's still something I'm struggling with. I have a very negative mindset, to be honest. It's just when writing lyrics, I try to think, try to remind people that we can still, even in desperation, we are functioning. We can find some kind of way to find meaning in a world that is very much going on fire and have a lot of troubles. So just reminding people that you're not alone in this, is that one little person can do a lot of change, a lot of good change in a very short time as well. So I think it's very important to remind people of their power also, even if it seems impossible sometimes.
Well said. Absolutely. It's difficult out there. So anything that could bring a little ray of positivity, a bit of ray of light into someone's life and make them feel empowered or just a little bit more important in the world is no bad thing. And if your music, your lyrics, your songs are helping, aiding, or even like just inspiring someone, I can't think of any better feeling for you, right?
Yeah, and it's not about the, oh, you have to think positive and you have to like positive affirmations to yourself. It's not about just like forcing yourself to be, oh, everything is great. But it's like, yeah, you can find way to like just change what's wrong
Mm.
while you're struggling. That's kind of something I'm trying to do through lyrics and through the shows also.
Is that something that's getting a little easier for you to express? So you get a bit more comfortable from sort of speaking from this perspective and seeing there like a double side to both, a side to both things.
Yeah, I it's the music itself is kind of desperate, I think. So it carries a lot, especially while we're playing live. It's very easy to kind of embody that feeling of desperation, but still like this urgent kind of feeling. I don't know, it inspires me a lot in writing lyrics and just being on stage. It's still it's a privilege to be on stage and be able to do all these kind of things. That's also what I'm reminding myself all the time. It's a whirlwind of feelings. And yeah.
And share that connection with people who have come to see you, to support you, who enjoy what you do, or even if they're just curious, first time watchers. It's a connection nonetheless.
Yeah.
Joakim, speaking about the music, how experimental did you find yourself being initially when you first started kind of working on ideas for this album and you're trying new things and your sound has already evolved from the very first release. Did you notice a lot of experimentation?
Yeah, definitely. I think like we wrote we wrote a whole album that's not on the record. I would say lots of. I think we all come from very different because we all come from like hardcore punk scenes or like traditional punk scenes, or then Yara's done more doom metal stuff, and I've done like D beat, Swedish D beat stuff and stuff like that. So it's like I think yeah, there was some stuff that was very close to like something like some sort of screamo emo riffing
Hmm.
that didn't end up fitting very well. But again, there were ideas there. There's ideas there. There's energy there. There's like things and feelings there that we wanted to evoke. And as I said, like finding that sort of yeah, that sort of attempt to not just make it very still intense and sort of have that as Lotta says, sort of that intensity and sort of that a little bit frantic feel. That's something I'm always looking for. I want the song to feel like if you're playing it live that it'll grip you in some sense, or like I want to shake the audience by the shoulders, you know, and be like, hello, wake up, here we are, we're doing this thing. So I always want that. But then you also want to be able to do slower and more melodic passages. So it's always, but yeah, we ended up experimenting a lot. But it's also meant like making this third record that we're working on now, the next record, it's way easier because we've found how to speak to each other musically, which is really great. I think we have this like sort of, because as I said, we're doing all this together in the room, so it's way easier. You have shorthand now, right? You're communicating in musical shorthand, so it's like, and you also feel very comfortable saying to someone, "No, I don't like that idea," and then other people will be like, "Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'm not, married to the idea."
The hope and the dream is always that as you work together and as you personally alone grow and learn, you will find new ways to do things and you will become better at a certain thing, or just find better or fresher ways to approach a specific thing within a band. So it's fascinating. It's great to hear how much you clearly have grown together as a group over this period in time and how much you've clearly learned that you already continue to take forward. But that would have come with numerous amounts of challenges, no doubt, along the way. So looking at the album creation process, this album's creation process, and we can narrow it down to say the recording side of things. Where individually, please, and we'll start with you, Lotta, where did you find yourself particularly challenged when it came to recording this record?
Uh, well, I had some health problems actually when I was supposed to record. So that was the first thing. I'm always I take great care in not to destroying the voice because it's very easily done when you false chord scream. But I didn't, I had, actually had some acid reflux problems that I wasn't aware of that was like destroying the vocal cord. I was destroying like the throat last year. So
Ooh.
when I found out that it was that, uh, that's when everything fell to place. So that was the greatest struggle for me because I was like, we had to postpone the recording of the vocals because of that. And then, yeah. But other than that, yeah, of course, yeah, lyrics always
Mm.
struggle, especially first record was very easy somehow because then it was just like, oh, I want to say this, I want to say that, this is easy. And then somehow second record was I couldn't repeat myself. I hadn't that
Hmm.
option to repeat myself. So it was more difficult. So I had a lot of glossolalia, as I say. I have a lot of just like the made up language that I scream when I don't remember the words or when I don't have any words. So then I have to invent words that actually fit into that. So that's its own little struggle. But other when it was ready, I was happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible, incredible. It's going back to the acid reflux kind of thing. As
Yeah.
much as you don't want ever to have a problem, of course, a physical problem. Thank goodness you found out what it was, because at least that way it's solvable. Rather than it's better to
Yeah.
know and solve than not know.
Yeah. I thought it was something completely different all the
Yeah,
time. So, and it was easily fixed with a little pose.
yeah. How about
So,
you, Joakim? What about you? What about you? What were some of the challenges from the recording phase?
I think initially because we did like we wanted to keep sort of the same, like that rehearsal room live intensity. So we played everything together in like in a room this time as well. So just to like keep that focus and concentration, especially when you're doing take after take, sort of to even know if it's a good, like to like keep yourself in that zone where to even know if it's a good take or not, and like and have that sort of for everyone. So I know I have like I had to accept, for instance, that I have like some technical mistakes on this record that are on the final record. There are some mistakes, but we didn't want to go in and like change because it would affect how it feels together, like the togetherness of everything. So I haven't like done that. I did some overdubs to like thicken stuff up, but I didn't go in and change where I sort of, if I sort of flubbed the note at the end of the thing or something like that, I would feel like, okay, but that was a good take where like we're all sort of, for instance, if we're like all like a little bit alternating tempo or something like that together, but if it works together, then it's just good. So I think that was accepting that you're not gonna do a perfect take. I think that was for me and Yara both, or drummer both, we like it's hard to accept that you're not gonna, if you're gonna do it this way in this live so setting, it's not gonna be a perfect take. There's no such thing where three people are gonna play a perfect take at the same time. It's not gonna happen. So
Not for
but
us, at least.
It's a tough thing to accept, but I also would ask you, so you were here and you think technical mistake and stuff like that, but is that because, well, it's you're listening to it for the 100th time potentially, and that for someone who basically that hasn't listened to it that many times, is only coming into it freshest, are they really going to notice? Basically, are you over analyzing, do you think?
I think that's a lot. That's a big part of it. I think like especially sometimes when you're like you're so disappointed with something in the studio, and then you don't have the opportunity to change it, and then you listen to it say a year down the line, and you're like, wait a minute, what was it again in this place? What was it again? But yeah, I think like if you have to look at it as like a whole, it's like the song is like a whole thing, whole organism that's living, breathing. So you
Of course, of course, of course. And as you said, live, it's never going to be perfect anyway. So, don't worry too much about that side of things. Flip the question around though. So, still sort of sticking with the recording phase of the album creation. Lotta, what are some of your favorite memories from that period?
The recording phase.
Yeah.
Um, we went to Tampere to record with a yeah, and then we slept at a Airbnb place. That was hilarious. They had just one spoon, so we had to share one spoon. That's what I remember from there. So we actually
Why?
our morning porridge was shared, and yeah, that's somehow what I remember from that. And then I was just sitting in while they were recording, because I still had my voice recovering, so I couldn't do anything. So I was just like, I felt overly critical when I was listening to everything. But yeah, it was great.
What you reflect on it very positively, even having to share one bloody spoon.
Yeah. I mean, recording process in my sometimes it's great, and this was maybe it was more like work than great. It
Hmm.
was just like, let's get this done because of time restraints and all that. But yeah, that's how it is, I guess. I think next
Well,
time we know, now we know what we need and what we need to spend time on. So next time will be much easier for us all, I think. But as long as we're happy with the product, I guess everything is good.
it is a job, as you say. You are there for a reason, so it's important that that reason at least gets done. But how about you, Joakim? How about you? What are some of your favorite memories from that period?
Yeah, I remember going back to the Airbnb and Lotta buying a can of like these canned peas and just eating them on the way to the Airbnb. That's my main memory of the thing, and having pizza over there. And yeah, it's there's nothing like as weird as like as a studio and like food on the road. I think that's always why I remember like what
Hmm.
because we've taken up the habit that like mostly I will cook for us on the road or make like wraps or burritos for us on the road. So that's what I remember from tours, and then from the studio, I remember all the weird food that we cooked and that stuff in the one spoon Airbnb. So yeah, it's those kind of things. It's more like the hanging out. The playing is you're just focused in. I'm just trying to look at what everybody else, listen to what everybody else is doing, and just having a good time. But yeah, it was great. We worked with Mikael Neves up there in Tampere, really great engineer, took great care of us. So working with him was also nice. He's also like not afraid to say if something isn't working, or if we need to dial back the tempo or something like that. So that was also really, really good to have somebody who's like, getting honest feedback is also good. So that's.
So not only a satisfying experience, one that's left you with some lasting odd memories, but lasting memories nonetheless. And the idea and the hope is people will hear this album and they will get their own lasting memories from it, either experience it in a way that speaks to them, or maybe it'll remind them of a time a year down the line, or maybe it'll tell them something about you if they're just coming to you for the first time. So individually, and we'll start with you, please, Lotta. What do you think this album says about Svarta Havet?
That we are weird and intense. I don't. I can't think of anything else actually. Or maybe a little difficult to place in a genre or something.
Well, genre placements, be damned. We don't love them here because it's a fruitless exercise. You make music, and we base it on feelings, weird and intense. That I love. That will do nicely. How about you, Joakim? Have you got a different way to sum up this album?
Yeah, I hope people come away from it like as a very varied listening experience, because it is listening back to it now, as Lotta said, we have the vinyl, like the test pressing listening, and like okay, like it's once you get tired of sort of one thing, and even at the end of the record, there's like some new stuff that hasn't been introduced yet. So I hope people will find that it's kind of satisfying as a kind of multi-layered thing, that it's not just one thing. And I really hope that people get to pick up on the themes of it. I'm really hoping that it's of course, because we're singing in Swedish and all the things is in Swedish, we were quite intentionally wanting to have like at least some level of explanation of the themes and what the record is trying to say in English available and in Finnish available. And we also ended up making like a zine in English for the record to try to give people a little bit more understanding of it. So hopefully people will come away with like a varied listening experience and some insight of what we're trying to say.
Well, it's that joy that I personally love. You can listen to a record and say you don't obviously speak the language or understand what's being said, but you have the opportunity then too, if it's connected with you, if you liked it enough, to then dig a little deeper to find out a little bit more about it, and then from that develop more of a personal relationship with what you've created here. I love that, so I'm glad you've done that. And of course, I want it to be super successful. I have no doubt it will be. But success is measured in many different ways, many unique ways. You will have your own measure, just like I do. So individually, please, starting with you, Joakim, what would success for this album look like?
That's a good question. I don't know. That the label isn't super disappointed in having chosen to support us. And just getting people to come to the shows. I think that's like the thing, because we are very, like, I just want to tour as much as possible. I just want to go. So hopefully getting picked up by some festivals and stuff like that would be success for me. Like we've already played we're going to play Sonic Rights this year in Helsinki, which is big for us. It's a big festival. So yeah, I think that's mainly it for us, not trying to disappoint the people who are invested in it, and hopefully getting some people that haven't heard us before to have come see us and listen to the record and be inspired, hopefully.
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair ask. Lotta, have you got anything to add there? Have you got your own view on what success might look like?
I think being able to do something that people can listen to is already success. Like I'm already surprised that we have gotten this far, and that it feels strange that a lot of people are going to listen to this, and I am very thankful for having this opportunity. So I'm really happy with already with what's going on. That's success.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, and I'm glad that you're look at what you hope this record can bring you in the future in regards to more festivals, more shows. It's so grounded. Europe's huge. Hopefully you get out and travel a bit. But for now, May 9th via Prosthetic Records, it is, of course, I'm going to say it again, Månen ska lysa din väg. Is that okay, or is my accent just ruining that?
It's pretty close. It's Månen ska lysa din väg.
There it is, absolutely. But it is out May 9th. Joakim, Lotta, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure.
Lovely.
Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.